we are now in Palau, and here with you, Anna Tutova, co-founder of Telegram, and Suji, who is co-founder of Mask Network, which provides Web3 tools for the Web2 social media. Great to have you here, Suji.
Yeah, pleasure to have everyone.
So can you tell us about your background, and when did you hear first about Bitcoin, crypto, and when did you get and how did you get into it?
I think my first time heard Bitcoin is like 2012, 2013. I was a high school student. That time I think it's amazing. It feels like a sci-fi concept, like a digital coin, digital gold. And then I went to college in the state. It's an engineering school, UIUC. Mostly, I think half of the students have engineering background. I bought my first Bitcoin around that time, 2013, 2014. I think it's like $300, $300 each. And that's also very interesting. Besides that, I was also a journalist, so I write a lot of things. I did a lot of interviews. I feel the power of like individualism. Usually engineers they care more about efficiency. They care more about this thing is working better, and blockchain indeed is not the best efficiency tool, right? So a lot of engineers in early days they cannot understand what's going on with Bitcoin and Ethereum. But as a journalist, I think see the power of the individualism. So that's also the time I consider spending more time in crypto. In 2015, 2016, I started to learn, there's Ethereum, very interesting as well. You can write a program on top of it. So finally, I decided to drop out. I was like senior year in college. I decided to left the education system, and also don't go to any big tech company. I decided to do my own stuff. That eventually evolved into the mass network today. So yeah, that's how I get into the crypto world. Yeah.
That's cool. And were you involved into any other projects besides Mask Network before?
Mass Network is my first project, but we have many experiments. So we've been experimenting many different kind of form of social network. I think social network have the problem, and decentralized technology can solve the problem, but we're just not sure. Like I think no one is sure what is the process, like what is the 1, 2, 3 step. So we do all the experiments. Besides mass network, we've been doing like encryption tools in 2016, 2017. And even right now, we have a venture arm is called Bonfire Union. We're investing in helping other people. 1/3 of the fund is going to decentralized social media and decentralized content entertainment. I think right now, there's too much focus on the financial value of blockchain. But very few people have dig in to see the non-financial part of blockchain. Yeah, that's my background, that's my feeling.
Yeah, and how did the idea of starting Mask Network come to you? Why did you see the problem with Web2 social media and the needless to integrate Web3 tools?
Yeah, I remember it's 2016, right after the election. It's also a time I decided to drop out, leave the college, do my own stuff. A lot of people are talking about the Cambridge Analytica, the Facebook data leak, right? And the problem, there seems to be no solution for the problem. So you either let the user keep the data, but they have no idea how to use the data to form a social network, or we see the problem of Cambridge Analytica. And then later on, in 2020, you see like Donald Trump is deplatformed. No matter it's good or bad for the political movement, I think as a social network, it should be a public infra. Everyone should be on the platform, should be able to talk. But there's also a lot of problem of the limitation of the free speech. So after I got this idea, I started to do all the experiments since 2016, 2017, 2018. We incorporated in Singapore, in Cayman Islands. We started to hire engineers. 2018 to 2019 is really tough because there's nearly no VC in the field. They all died. But we survived until 2020, 2021, and really glad like 2020 February, that's the Lunar New Year. I was talking to Vitalik, and he's like, we can send money on Twitter, DeFi, stablecoin, and he sent the red pocket on Twitter Lunar New Year. That's how we accumulate all the trust from the industry, put everything together, eventually leads to us today. It takes a lot of time, but the original idea is very simple. I think decentralized social media should be decentralized. It should be public infra. Everyone should be able to use it. And also there's a limitation of the free speech, but we also need to have all these important parts for the social network. Yeah.
And why did you decide from the integrations into existence Web2 social media, but not, for example, starting your own Web3?
Yeah. So we've been looking into this field for many years. So I think most of the users are stuck. The social graph, the social connection. Like Anna and me may be friends on Twitter, but the way we stay friends is kind of like locking into the platforms. Starting a new one will be very cool. We are also like sponsor of Mastodon. We also run a lot of like Mastodon instance. Mastodon is also federated and somehow decentralized. But even Mastodon is the largest decentralized social right now. It still have only have 3-4 million users, and all the other player, Lens, Funcaster, is only 10k, 20k users. So the number of users on Twitter and Facebook is billions. Twitter is around 3 to 4 billion. But say Mastodon is one of the largest decentralized social network. It's federated. It's not really blockchain, but it's already quite decentralized. We're the sponsor and we run several, the second largest nodes. We run a lot of nodes. Even that, it's only 5 million users. At some moment, I think it reached to several, almost 10 million users, small. And then if you look into the pure blockchain solution, you need the user to have a wallet. You need the user to have, a MetaMask. It's only 100k user at most. Lens, Ficaster. I think our role is not to, the role of Mass Network and the role of our venture arm is not to say we build another 3 competitors. I think that they are doing a great job. We try to connect them together. So you can be on Twitter, but your connection graph, your social graph should be extra away from Twitter. Then you can choose to move to any social network you want to. That's our ultimate goal. So in order to achieve that goal, I think we have to start on top of the existing ones like Facebook and Twitter. And honestly, if Twitter have more young, user, energetic, amazing, young crypto lover, or generally user with curiosity. So we start from Twitter. And also 2019, Jack Dorsey, that was still the time that Jack was the CEO and he started Blue Sky. We were quite close to the initiative, exchange a lot of ideas. Now it's the Elon Day. I have no idea what's going on, but I think no matter he choose to use what technology, I think the ultimate goal, the ultimate fate is not going to change. Eventually it has to be decentralized through different vehicles, different ways, and we're just one of the solution there. There might be other solutions, but we're happy to combine them together. I think the ultimate goal is to let the user choice. Yeah.
And what is your opinion about recent social media Friendtech on Base?
So I think Friendtech is not new. The whole thing happened several times in the past, Big Cloud.
Yeah.
Big Cloud is 2020 to 2021. And even before that, probably the people from the West don't know, 2008, 2008 and 2009. I think 2007, 2008. There's friend trade, not Friendtech, but not Friendtech, but friend trade. The name is even similar in China. And they went popular from the Chinese Facebook, and then the company incorporated overseas, and they have sold IP to many other players. And I think Zynga went public by doing Facebook games, have one similar game, and all start from trade your friend. I think the name is exactly friend trade. The concept is exactly the same. The only thing difference is they don't use blockchain that time, but they use some database. And again, honestly, I think Friendtech is not using blockchain enough, right? Because again, the shares they rename it to as key. They're kind of afraid of the regulation. The reason, my opinion, is the reason you're afraid of regulation is you're not decentralized enough, right? I think people like Satoshi and Vitalik, they say whatever they want. They tell the truth, they tell the frank words because their infra is decentralized enough. With something like Friendtech, I think it's a really interesting experiment, but the way they're afraid of regulators indicate that their infrastructure is quite centralized. They're afraid they get shut down one day, and there's always ways to shut it down. Very easy. They got an API problem. They got MPC, which is quite centralized. So yeah, I mean, I'm happy to see all these experiments come out. But my expectation again is the user will never exceed 200K. Now they have like 100K user. It never exceed 200K. We need other vehicles to boost the users. And the user we are maintaining through different vehicles, through Mastodon, through all these like different experiments. We have like maintaining around 2 to 3 million users, but it's not good enough because these users are not really they're not really ready for decentralization. Sometimes they still ask, "Oh, we lost the key. What should I do?" So yeah, I think it's still a long process. But I mean, next bull market, maybe next year, maybe 2025, I think it will be a lot of the elements will be related with social network. Yeah.
And in your opinion, will ever all these decentralized social networks make it to the hundreds of millions of users, to the bigger mass adoption? Or do you see maybe all this Web2 social media not to lose the users start implementing decentralization?
I think it'll be a hybrid. I think it'll be hybrid. Like when the Web2 got adoption, like Web2 we refer to the mobile and right to the interactive web. Like the iPhone got adoption start from 2008. When it got adoption, it didn't really dump the old tech at all. Or even the Flash. In the Flash, like it's famous for Steve Jobs don't like Flash and kill it, right? And even that is like take years to really stop the compatibility, right? So right now the thing is like, okay, we know we have to decentralize to a moment that we can tell the user, oh, this share is just partially your ownership. We just don't change it to a stupid name like key. But we also need to be prepared for the whole process, right? So during that process, we have to understand the old technology still have something to use. I'm personally quite sad that the players in this field, they haven't talked to each other enough. I think there's around like 10 players in the decentralized social network. If we counting the Web 2.51 and early Web 1 OG, there's probably around like 30 to 40 groups, right? I think they haven't talked to each other enough. And I honestly, I think Mask is one of the only team really talk to each other. We really talk to Mastodon team. We really talk to the Lens team, the Forecaster team. We even talked to the Twitter team before the Elon acquisition. You have to talk to them, even though sometimes you don't agree with Twitter's policy. You don't agree with some owner, but there's a reason they do something. Maybe it's under the pressure of the regulator. Maybe it's because of the server cost. By learning that, you can able to put all the things together, and you can learn that we should not make the same mistake again. I think we've been doing a great job by talking to people, by connecting to people, and we're the neutral one that in this field that try to really solve the problem. I think it's really important to have compatibility across all these players. I think that's the key. Once we solve that, I think we're going to see the mass adoption, like millions of users on board easily. I think in 5 to 10 years, maybe 5 years. I'm quite optimistic. Yeah.
And have things changed for you since Elon's acquisition of Twitter?
Not really much. A lot of people we know at Twitter got laid off, and he changed the name. He closed the API, but I don't think they don't think too much, influence on us because we are already quite decentralized in the day one. But it also like indicates the importance. Like he's by playing his cards, no matter smart or not smart, people realize, oh, he's the sole owner right now. He's the only shareholder, and he's a major shareholder. That's different than a public company, even though it's all private company. It's all privately owned by a group of investors. People realize the problem and they start to look more, invest more in this field. A lot of traditional investors talk to us like, hey, Suji, what do you feel about this field? But I think the conviction is not strong enough. Like, as mentioned, we have the ecosystem fund, Bonfire Union, which is like around $45 million. And
So do you invest in tokens?
token equity, mostly token. But
In your own tokens?
no, we invest in the stable coin, US dollar or euro, whatever currency you choose to hold. Uh, what I'm saying is like for us, the 45 million to 50 million fund now is like 1/3 already deployed, half already deployed, and 1/3 of them is in the social network. So in the decentralized social network alone, we have deployed over 10 million. And
so
we're gonna.
Which decentralized social?
Yeah. We invest in we're shareholder of Lens, um, Lens protocol, and Lens also have a social app, Orb. We also invest in Orb. There's many other people trying to do the better namespace. Can't disclose the name yet, but they're trying to do better namespace because the ENS is quite expensive. Maybe there will be other solution on the layer 2. So someone's trying to do that. We are also invested in AI plus Web3 social. So maybe I don't talk to a person. Maybe I talk to a smart contract. And the smart contract is very smart. And they reply to me, pay me $5, pay me 5 USDT so I can talk to you. So maybe that's going to be the future. So we also invest in that. It's called Crypto.ai. I'll send you a link later on. So we have several investments. I think among the VC players, because we are early stage, I think among the early stage VC players, only a few of them have really strong conviction to pull like more than $10 million, even like 20 million in this field. And we're going to continue to do that. We're going to continue to really explore what's going on. And we also open-minded. Like we also invested the Telegram token, the Tone token, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah, and we are doing some partnership with them. I can't disclose the detail, but some people kind of underestimated the Telegram as well. Like just a lot of people don't like Twitter just because of the owner. But we are quite realistic. We know like the user are there. The user want to decentralize, but they just don't know how. They just, if you ask them, just say, hey, I want a better house, right? That's always the answer you're gonna get from you. So we are looking to put all this thing together. When we see something failed, we learn from them. We talk to them. Yeah, so that's what we're trying to do right now. Yeah.
And how many users do you currently have?
Right now we have several products. Like the extension, the mass network extension is on the Chrome extension. That was like around 100K. Sometimes like in the bull market, I think it's around 200K. Now it's like 100K ish user.
Do you plan as well to launch like a mobile app?
Yeah. The new mobile app is in the beta testing. We're happy to give out several invite to your audience. It's very cool. So you can, in our new mobile app, we call it Firefly, firefly.land. You can post your Twitter, your Lens, your Forecaster, your Blue Sky, your whatever all together. And not only post, you can
so
also.
It's like an integrator.
Yeah, you can also follow all in once. Like you can own your algorithm. So maybe I follow Vitalik, right? So the algorithm you can download the algorithm and say, oh, I guess you like ENS. So maybe they see the other 10 ENS big holder. Do you want to follow them? So there's many things we can do. It's gonna launch very soon. I think this or next month. Besides that, there's many Web 2.5 things. They're federated. They're not really on blockchain, but we're seeing this strong value. They are users, and the user don't need to know what's going on. They don't need to know it's blockchain or not. As long as you give them the choice, right? So we also acquired Pau, which is the second largest Mastodon instance. The Pau alone have like more than 1 million users. So several other acquisitions we have been doing. Last year, a few months ago, we also acquired Rara, which is also a common protocol for like writing stuff, query stuff on chain. It's quite early, but I think there's still potential in this field as well. So yeah, put together the ecosystem have like a few million users. But again, compared to Facebook, Twitter, it's all too early.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any reason to do competition right now in the field. We'd rather to work together with everyone and put them together. Yeah.
And as well, can you share some upcoming plans for Mask Network?
Yeah, the incoming plan, I think the mobile thing I mentioned, we're going to launch it, and we're happy to give out invite. We love to let user to experience the user experience that you don't need to leave Twitter. but you live within Twitter and Facebook, but simultaneously you have your independent.
And do you have like integrated messaging all in one
sure.
platform? Like for example,
Everyone,
people
everything
message you
together.
on Facebook, Twitter, and it
Eventually,
appears in your
that's in
one
our
inbox?
that's in our plan. That integrated messaging. Yeah, that's in our plan yet.
Yeah,
So,
I think many people
by the way,
need that.
by the way, we actually invested two companies doing all-in-one messaging protocol, and one have really good. One's recently being under really huge big news recently. It's called text.com. There's another one we haven't disclosed, but we are really looking into this field, and I think the user don't want choice. They want all-in-one, and they want a one button to able to help them to say, hey, click this button, all your data will be decentralized and owned by you, and they don't really care the protocol on these, right? So that's something we try to achieve. Yeah, so that's the plan. It's the mobile thing, the all-in-one thing, and the better user experience, and the more educate more user and turn the user into the citizen. I think that's the key. Like even for a million user, if you're able to turn 1% of a million user into a citizen, that's like 10K, right?
Yeah.
And then Palau only have 20K citizen, and you don't need a lot of citizens to form a country. You don't need a lot of citizens to form a society. But as a user, they become digital slaves, right? So I think the key is to help the user and tell them, here's the option, and click this button, you become a citizen. I think that's the fundamental.
So your philosophy from existence of all these decentralized social media,
Yeah.
it's possible to create separate movements, separate society?
Yeah. I think all this, the fundamental reason of our industry, why the crypto industry, why the decentralization industry exists, is to push the independence movement. It's the independence of the cyberspace. Now we have the Bludge have the network state like published last year. Everyone's talking about it, but the whole movement already started for I think more than a few decades. I was born in 1996, but in my teenager I read this declaration from the EFF founder, from the Electronic Frontier Foundation founder John Peter Barron. It's called a Declaration of Independence of Cyberspace. Basically, I think the cyberspace is an independent country. It's going to be an independent country. We are building infra to make it come true. Social network is one of the important infra, just like DeFi is the decentralized Federal Reserve. So that's going to be the case. That's why we are in here, right? Yeah.
Do you think in the future we will have elections on these decentralized
Yeah, why not?
social media?
Why not? I mean, like now the politicians are using Twitter, X, Facebook, whatever, Meta, right? Whatever the name is, they're using the mainstream, or some of them using the alternative ones too. They're trying to have their own impact and eventually have impact on the election result, right? I mean, that's already happening, and we need a lot of technology, a lot of layers to make sure that we can verify they're telling the truth, and we can verify this is a real person, not a dog, not a cat. Then eventually we're gonna have election on chain or somehow simulate on chain in a digital way, and then eventually you can able to elect your Siberian government in cyberspace. That's going to come true.
That will be interesting.
Yeah.
And in your opinion, what is needed for the mass adoption of blockchain technologies of crypto?
I think right now that we need 2 points. Like one is to really abandon the internal battle within different kind of because from the other perspective, from the people outside of crypto perspective, these guys are all similar, right? But right now, there's endless internal battle. Even right now, the Bitcoin and Ethereum people are still like talking shit to each other. I don't see any necessity of these kind of actions, right? And we also lack of respect to the open source movement. A lot of them have already contributed to some of the early demo of such decentralized infra. I think we just not learn enough from them. So that's the problem of our industry, right? We need to do better. We need to, talk less and write more code and befriend We should call out scammers, but we just don't fight each other because of the ideology. The second thing I think, unfortunately, the reason why there's going to be a mass adoption of decentralization technology or crypto or whatever is because the centralized one is going to be more and more censorship, going to be more and more sex. More and more people that's not going to be able to use the centralized solution just because of their nationality, their race, the place they're born, where they move to, which phone number they're holding, which brand of phone they're using. And it's going to be all stupid reason they cannot use the centralized version, and they create an alternative channel. That's going to be a chance for mass adoption, right? Honestly, that's what happened in the past 10 years, right? Yeah, because we don't have easy access to something like a digital gold. That's why people choose Bitcoin. We don't have something like Ethereum for a decentralized AWS. You don't censor the code. That's why we have Ethereum. I think this thing is going to continue. It will be a huge battle. Eventually, the decentralized going to win if we got a people. Yeah.
And you talked about censorship, but another disadvantage of decentralized social media maybe as well the lack of this censorship, because, for example, little kids can use this decentralized social media, and they can see bad content, so they may be humiliated, and there are no some kind of moderators. So what can be done with this?
Honestly, I think it needs to be weighted. I mean, for now, there's going to be doubts about voting, about limiting content. Eventually, we're going to see, because we need better governance, we need to see the new digital government emerging from these things. Emerging from the things. I still remember the DAO, right? The DAO hack was 2015. Then that time is a huge thing. The Ethereum Foundation team the core team has to fork Ethereum to make sure that the hacker don't get all the coins. But they actually proved something. That proved there's a vote. There's a vote before the DAO fork, the fork, right? The vote, should we fork it, or should we stay on the same chain? And there's some people don't want to fork it, they stay on the Ethereum Classic chain. I think that vote is pretty much the election. If you read American history, if you read the history of any modern country, back in 200 years ago, I mean, honestly, the system is not really that smart. It's really dumb. It all starts from some dummy mistakes, and they don't really think a lot about making laws. It's all about social experiments. So it's glad that we have those kind of tools to do social experiments with relatively lighter outcome, relatively better consequence, right? And then we should able to use this advantage. We do as many of social experiments as we can, but don't harm people, don't scam people, and then we're able to say, hey, maybe we can have a way to report the bad content decentralizedly. Maybe we can do some AI in a smart contract, and we'll make sure the AI is not really going to be doing bad things. It's going to be locking a smart contract. AI can moderate the content. That's going to be the future. Right now, it's too early to say, but just because there will be bad content, there will be bad behavior, there will be bad, actions, then we give out the ownership of data to the government and let them censor. It will lead to dystopia. That's something we should avoid right now. Because once we give them out, I don't think you can get it back. We figure out a solution after 10 years. Can we get back the user? Can you guys stop the censorship? That's not going to happen. That happened on the television. That happened on the Telegram. That happened on many other things. It's always a new technology that able to evolve and eventually have a better solution. Have a loophole that eventually we can govern this ourselves. So that's, I think, going to be future. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. It was interesting to hear your point of view.
Pleasure.